My name is Tim Dart from Lighthouse Baptist Church in Wiley, Texas. We're just a little north of Dallas, and I grew up going to church occasionally at a Lutheran church. I remember as a kid hoping that my mom and dad didn't want to go to church because we were from a poor town there in Wiley, and the place that we would go to church at was in a more influential area of Dallas. And I didn't really have any interest in going to church, didn't have any interest in what God would have me to do or anything like that. I would remember when we did go, there was no real preaching or emphasis on the things of heaven and how we could get there. It was a lot of almost ritual type deal. And when I got older, I still didn't really have any main interest in anything to do with the church or anything like that. My wife and I got married relatively early, just a year out of high school, actually. And my wife started talking about what else is there. And as we were talking about having a family, thinking maybe church would be a good idea to bring our children up in. So time goes on, and one afternoon my wife gets a knock on the door from James Raspberry, and we weren't going to church. We had just started even looking at different churches in the area, and when he knocked on our little trailer house door, my wife agreed to at least go to church that next Sunday. And I just happened to be off that weekend, so I went with her. And that was the weekend before Easter 2001. And she ends up getting saved that day. The following Sunday, Easter Sunday, we went back again, and she ended up getting baptized. And I thought that this was great. This was good for her. So later on, she asked if I wanted to go to church with her, and to make her happy, I absolutely would go to church with her. That the Sunday that my wife got baptized, I remember Brother Raspberry by the front door and asking if we would come to church again. And looking back at it now, it's funny, but I told him, yeah, if nothing else for the entertainment value, I would come to church again to see him yelling and running back and forth on the platform. And so that's what we did. I told my wife I didn't want to go to Sunday night church. I wasn't going to go to Wednesday church. Don't expect an adult like me to go to Sunday school. It just wasn't happening. And the Lord obviously took that as a challenge, because he kept putting things in my way so that I eventually wanted to continue going to church. Finally, I felt that Brother Raspberry was preaching directly to me, and he kept talking about soul winning. So I went with him, soul winning, just to get him to stop preaching about it. And it was October 11th, 2001. It was a Thursday night. It was cold. I remember it very distinctly. And we were knocking on a lady's door. It was getting dark, and the porch light was not on. She opened the door, and you could smell dinner cooking behind her. And Brother Raspberry talked to her and asked her the question, if you died today, are you 100% sure that you go to heaven? Now, I had heard him ask this question many times, but every time the people would give some other excuse to get him off of their doorstep. But this time, the lady answered and said, "I don't know for sure." And that got my attention. And he asked her, "If you could know for sure, would you want to?" And she said, "Yes." And at this point, I was hooked, because nobody had ever, well, while I was soul winning with him, nobody ever said, "Yes, tell me about Jesus." So he went through the Romans Road, and I was standing behind him and just thinking, at any point, this lady's going to shut him down and go back to cooking dinner or whatever it was that she was doing. And she didn't. She listened. We got to the end, and he asked her to pray with him and ask Christ to be her Savior. And at that moment, I felt that that's what I needed to do as well. And while she was praying, I was praying the sinner's prayer, asking Christ to be my Savior. And when he was done, he wrote down her information, said thank you. He turned around, and I had this look on my face, and he asked if something was wrong. And I told him that was the most amazing thing that I had ever seen. And we went on to the last couple of houses. At that point, I didn't tell him that I had prayed the prayer along with him. Why, I don't know. But a couple weeks later, I had asked him if he remembered the house so that I could write it down as well. And he asked me why. I said, because I said the prayer along with that lady and asked Christ to be my Savior as well. So he went back in his New Testament and put my name next to her name. But ever since then, God has just continued to lead me to go to Sunday school, be more faithful there, go to Wednesday night services, all the way through about 10, 15 years ago, I accepted a position as our youth director, going all the way from this kid that didn't want anything to do with Christ to somebody that will do anything for him. And that's my story.